Hello everyone, Tactical Lich here. Today we have a battle replay picked up from the Netcrew Clan's Discord. Sent in by Lamsauce King, he's playing as the Empire versus Dark Elves played by Coops. In my experience, this is a pretty rough matchup for the Empire. However, Lamsauce King here, going for a rather unorthodox build, a full front line of flagellants, 5 of them in fact, coming in with a solid unbreakable trait to keep them in the fight for as long as possible, and then solid attack stats as well to do more damage. Unfortunately, they do suffer from a severe lack of protection, no armor whatsoever, and piss poor melee defense, as they do not regard their own safety at all. So they do take damage quite quickly in battle. But here comes Balthazar Geld, not only with the Plague of Rust to synergize with their lack of armor piercing, but also he did bring a rarely seen spell these days, Glittering Robe. A spell that increases a unit's armor, but we rarely see it being used because Empire does have an abundance of armored troops like knights and war machines. However, the Glittering Robe does help the Flagellants to mitigate a bit of their lack of armor and keep them longer in the fight. For the rest of the army here, mostly DLC or DLC updated units. Knights of the Black Rose, 4 of them in fact, and then 3 units of Outriders with their new repeater handguns. And then at the back there, the Knights of the Black Rose are guarding a Hammer of Witches great cannon. And that's it for the Empire army build. For the Dark Elves here, a front line mixed in with Dread Spears and Bleak Swords. The Dread Spear is the Hellebronai. They're backed up by some anti-infantry Black Arquebusiers. Behind them, a bunch of artillery, 3 units of Reaper Bolt Throwers, readying to snipe out some war machines, no doubt. And then they're guarded by some Code 1 Dread Knights. Super elite Code 1 Cavalry, but I don't know how effective they are, because in general, I do think that Code 1 Cavalry lacks in melee stats quite a bit, but they are indeed still a very elite unit of cavalry with armor piercing, so let us wait and see. In the skies, the Crows of Cain coming in with their Feast of Crows, Crow Feast healing, supported by a Supreme Sorceress of Soul Stealer magic. There's also a supporting Dark Elf hero, the K-Knight Assassin, coming in with the Dark Web and the Assassin's Trophy for some supporting abilities. And yeah, that's it for the army builds, and now let's get the battle started. The Dark Elves, having multiple units of Reaper Bolt Throwers, no doubt are trying to prepare for the landship or steam tank from the Empire side, but unfortunately none of those war machines exist today, and they'll be wasting a lot of their focus shots onto the Flagellants. Now they're switching to the scatter shots, hoping to get a bit more damage onto the multi-entity units of the Empire army, but the Flagellants doesn't really care about the artillery shots, at least in the morale terms, and will continue their march into the lightly armored Druchia line. Should be able to do some pretty good damage, but the Black Arquebusiers, being a heavily armored unit with anti-infantry bonus, will be a tough nut to crack. This is where the Glittering Robe from Balthazar Geld comes in, just to help them survive a little longer against the Black Arquebusiers. On the side there, the Dread Knights are taking heavy fire. These ones are getting down by the Outriders here. That's a lot of firepower, knocking them down to 2/3 of their HP, while the other one getting shot by the Hammer of Witches, getting hammered for sure, even if they're not witches. The Harpies over here, Crows of Cain, trying to harass the Outriders, but here are the Knights of the Black Rose very close by to support, and if they even dare to dive down, the anti-infantry bonus of the Knights of the Black Rose will make short work of them, but if they don't dive down, they're just gonna get shot by the repeater handguns. On the side there, the Cohen Dread Knights charging into the Knights of the Black Rose, but unfortunately being hit by the Plague of Rust upgraded version. They're taking heavy losses due to their lack of armor. Now down to 60, not too bad, but also not great either, dealing with 2 units of elite Empire cavalry. The K-Knight Assassin is here to support, using the Web of Shadows to drain away the health of the Knights of the Black Rose, but just not quite enough for damage to deal with these Empire cavalry. In the front line though, the Black Arquebusiers are doing pretty well against the Flagellants, just cutting them down to the last man, while the Outriders continues to harass. Bolt Throwers switch targets to the Outriders using their scatter shots. doing some really good damage, but right now there's not much to protect them at the back line, and the Outriders will be charging in and hopefully disrupt some of these artillery shots. Now over here, the Cohen Dread Knights being targeted by both the Outriders from the flank and the Hammer of Witches. They are now down to the last bit of their HP here, being tied down by the Knights of the Black Rose. Balthazar Gelt going for a rear charge, and that is the end of this elite Druchi cavalry. On the other side, the Outriders are peppering the Supreme Sorceress and her Black Dragon with repeater handgun fire. The problem is that after taking hits in both their health and leadership, they are more vulnerable to the terror from the Black Dragon, and they're being pushed back for now. Also, these guys, I think they got hit by a noxious breath, which is why they are down to half health in the first place. At the same time, the Dread Knights nearby are almost being wiped out by the Black Roses. So the Supreme Sorceress of Soul Stealer will be diving in, hoping to equalize this fight a bit, but unfortunately for her, the Knights of the Black Rose do have immune to psychology and does not care about the terror or fear on the Black Dragon, while these Flagellants here still holding on to the fight for now, having that glittering robe reducing the incoming damage from the Dread Spears, helping them cut through Lee's Druchi a little bit more cost efficiently, while the rest of the Empire frontline are being slowly wiped out. Knights of the Black Rose, these guys have been held back in reserve protecting the Helm of Witches, but now that all the Dark Elf mobility other than the Supreme Sorcerers are gone, they are free to engage into the front line here, charging straight into some weak and fragile Druchi infantry and push them back. The Knights of the Black Rose over here, after taking heavy losses from the Dread Knights, are also engaging in the frontline battle, while the freed up Outriders, not having to deal with the Dread Knights over here anymore, are just gonna charge straight into the Reaper Bolt throwers, shutting them down, while the Knights of the Black Rose, after dealing with this Reaper Bolt thrower over here, also managed to move on to their next target. Balthazar Gelt, though, is indeed targeted by the Soul Stealer, and will be taking some direct damage. This unit of Cohen Dread Knights managed to regroup and is now gunning for the Hammer of Witches, which is now exposed, and the Empire might pay for moving away their protection away. Gelt was trying to intercept the Dread Knights, but it is a little bit too late here as the Dread Knights are closing in on their target. Frontline Black Ark Corsairs are holding with their armor, and the Knights of the Black Rose are trying to run them down. Repeater handgun Outriders are grouping up and taking aim with a single volley, absolutely obliterating their own knights. Well, they are indeed aiming at the Black Ark Corsairs, but most of the shots are actually going into the knights instead. And the larger knights surrounding the Corsairs really doesn't help them. Probably doing more friendly fire than actual damage against enemies right now, as the Knights of the Black Rose are taking a lot of damage from no other units than their own friendly fire. Now they are switching targets to a Kena Assassin, but once again not the greatest target to shoot at because of how small the target is and their lack of accuracy with their repeater handguns. The Soul Stealer Dragon still trying to hunt down Gelt, but Gelt on Quicksilver is a little bit too fast. And now with her infantry and cavalry support gone, she is exposed to a ton of Outrider focused fire. Sure, their accuracy is a bit crap these days, but with their sheer number of bullets and the large hitbox of the dragon, that damage does add up. The Empire, having the mobility advantage, is using the remaining Knights of the Black Rose to run down every single routed unit of the Dark Elves. Helm of Witches have been shut down by these tattered Cohen Dread Knights, but after this, the Dread Knights won't be able to do anything else, because as soon as they charge into the range of all these Outriders, they are just gonna get blasted in the face by all those bullets. And also on top of that, Knights of the Black Rose are close by readying to intercept their charge. It is down to the Supreme Sorceress of Soul Stealer here to uphold that balance of power, and the Kena Assassin of course, but the Kena Assassin has limited shots. 32 shots can't even finish a full unit of Outriders, as they have 60 unit models maximum, and this one's still having 41, so yeah. The Kena Assassin will be struggling to carry this game for sure after losing that Web of Shadows, which only has one use in the entire game. Still, the Assassin managed to pick off a few Outriders, dropping their HP and leadership, forcing one of them to rout early. This one is still around, having 43 kills, 41 unit models, and 1 chevron, earning back well above their own cost. They're now just unloading into the Black Dragon, which is quite a large target for them to shoot at, and their lack of accuracy hurts them a little less. Gelt once again getting hit by the Soul Stealer here, on top of that using that heal onto the Supreme Sorceress of Soul Stealer here, sustaining her HP and keeping that balance of power high for the Dark Elves. But how much can this carry them? We shall see, as the Outriders are converging in, well, not really converging, but forming into a concave, surrounding and blasting away at the Supreme Sorceress of Soulstealer. And as they move forward, because they have fire while moving, they can just keep unloading into the back of the Supreme Sorceress of Soulstealer onto the Black Dragon model, as their Outrider comrade are moving away, trying to kite away at the Supreme Sorceress. The Sorceress will have to fight something, because the longer she stays in the skies not fighting anything, the more damage she takes without dealing any in return. In the end, she decided to dive down on the Knights. Now all these Outriders are focusing down onto the Black Dragon here, who is taking quite a bit of damage, while the Kane Assassin being surrounded by anti-infantry Knights of the Black Rose, and on top of that, a bit of a Plague of Rust debuffing his armor down to absolute 0. He is steadily ground down by the anti-infantry bonus of the Knights of the Black Rose. At the back there, the Supreme Sorceress once again activating the Opal Amulet, mitigating a lot of that Outrider fire, but her HP is running low and the Kena Assassin has been routed. It is pretty much just a Black Dragon versus the world. She's dropping in another Soul Stealer to rout off these Outriders here, using the Terror trait from the Black Dragon. The healing is kicking in for the Black Dragon, but it is unable to reverse the balance of power. The Empire managed to snatch victory with their gunpowder supremacy. GG to both Lamsauce King and Koops for the game. Now for the army performances, regardless of the friendly fire, the Outriders undoubtedly did a lot of damage to various units, including the Dread Knights and the Black Dragon, accumulating a lot of damage through their sheer volume of AP fire. Yes, their accuracy is a bit lacking, but they just make it up with the volume of missiles instead. For the rest of the army, the Knights of the Black Rose, being an elite defensive cavalry, didn't do a lot of damage, but they do have the defensive stats to pin down the Dread Knights, allowing other units to help doing the damage, including the Hammer of Witches to pound away the HP of the Dread Knights and the Outriders, peppering down those elite Raptor cavalry with their AP fire. The Flagellants didn't do too much damage here, unfortunately, due to their rather fragile stat line. Still, the Unbreakable trait was a very key thing to keep the Black Arc Corsairs and the Bleak Swords all occupied, buying time for the Knights of the Black Rose and Outriders to do what they need to win the game. Gelts didn't have any damaging spells, so not much damage overall. And on the other side of the screen, the Dark Elves, the Soul Stealer caster didn't do too much damage here, unfortunately, spending most of the time trying to chase down Balthazar Gelt, or just fighting the Knights of the Black Rose, who are not prone to terror routes at all, while being shot from all fronts by the Outriders. The Black Arc Corsairs didn't do too well here, mostly just cutting through the Flagellants, but not doing much damage to the expensive cavalry corps. The Crows of Cain tried to dive down and pressure the Outriders, but immediately got wiped out by the anti-infantry Knights. And for the rest of the army here, Reaper Bolt Throwers got shut down quite soon in the battle. Dread Knights did okay on this one, the other not so much, as it was heavily focused by Hammer of Witches and Outrider fire. The Kena Assassin, though, surprisingly did well in the game here, using that Web of Shadows to drain away the health of the expensive Knights of the Black Rose and just pick away the Outrider models with its poison missiles. And yeah, that's it for today's battle. I hope you all enjoy this multiplayer action. If you want to see more Total War Warhammer content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.